I like the idea. Me too. ፖለቲከኛ ስለዝኾነ ብእንግሊሽ እቲ ዲስካሽን ጋይስ እንዳሕደሊኹም ብትግርኛ ክንትርግሞ ንኽእል ኢና ሸር ኣይትሕመቑ ኢኹም ኣብ ዩቱብ ሕጂ ዝሰጋግሮ ኢኹም ናው ክትሓትዎ ተደሊኹም ከዓ ቴሌፎን ክንበኩም ኢና መጠረሽቱ ትሓቱ ትኽእል ኢኹም Let's see. I'm live on YouTube, guys. Kabs na YouTube suggaaz yokum. Hey, hi Bless. How are you, darling? Welcome everyone. قاعد حمد أخوم بزد اللهم بيوتيوب. تحشوا. شير قبور يوهم نا يوتيوب كلها يا فيسبوكهم قال ملتات. It's very important. This guy is بتعمي impressive زخونة سبيبك. YouTube is like London. Hi, Gwasdan Shakur. I thought it was tomorrow. No, tomorrow I call it program علني نلوم مع أنت يوتيوب بقات. Hey, welcome everybody. Like እንዳገበርኩም እተው like ማለት ሰላም ማለት እዩ ነቲ algorithm more ሰብ ከብካ ይሕግዘና ማለት እዩ Yes. تحشوا دك يا ري معري. Yeah. كنجمر ኢና ንእሽተይ በሰብ ስጋዕ ዝርከብ ስጋዕ ንማሞቕ ኢና ኩልኻ ኣብዚ ዘለኻ ንዩቱብ ጋዓዝ ፅቡቓት ኣብ ዩቱብ ኢሎም መዓንቲ ላይፍ ናህና Queen تحشيو معري you are the queen not me what the tattoo says this too shall pass كله حلافي كو مالتي إذا كمان كحلفي مالتي Hey everybody, welcome. The topic is today we have interview with Sami Eritrean. Hawuna, he's gonna talk about politics to us today. Introduce Gugobri in a minute. Thank you guys. Share guide حمايهم. من تبل يا ناتكي دهلك لندن يا تبل. لهلك لندن يلكم متو. I'm not بايو خلا يلاتكم. You're a queen. Oh, في بشكر. Thank you. تحشيو معري. تحشيو my love. YouTube channel is called Dahlak London. Ab link I'm not a bio locum tamrit folto. Come and join us. I'm happy that you're starting live on YouTube because yeah I know بزح حساب اللغة تديتك so بعرف إذا English program ناخد كون سامي English تدزارب in English نحن تدزارب وإيطراويان كأنه عم include كقبرهم كابز دلي I've been planning this for a long time. So we're gonna bring different people, different topic. صباح مسنايت نافيوري. I'm gonna bring بزحات دك أنستيو خلاي أبلع لدبس حابي وتن successful دخان أنا يبغى حكي كم support زجابا برانا نحر حدن. We don't need a competition. كم competition نيرتراويان down دقبر سبقة لأين دلني نحنا ندلي نحر حرز التحقق نزنا هنا community build دقبر تأما يكون دقافا يكون as long you are Eritrean you're welcome. ولا خالق كمان you're welcome but sometimes حدا جزء topic نا إرتراويان ترى لنا. أبز topic زي كنا تكون متحفن مباليو. كاب كالون كنت مسؤول تخليهم جن. Sometimes it's specific topic you. So تسوي حكي أني نايدك أنستيو ناي business ناي قلا ناي قول عد قلا خنزارة بينا مسني لو ما أنت جن. مسا محاونا politica مس politica زفلت politica خنزارة بينا so I'm so excited. I'm okay شكوينا تات. Welcome كلاتكم. تكيري زي أخذ فاية. Most gorgeous woman. Eritrean, thank you زحفتي معري تحشيو. See you on YouTube guys. I'm gonna switch this off. Oh, thank you صباح تحشوه. ناتكم يا وسيدة. See you on YouTube guys. My people. The support you show me is like beyond what I deserve, I think. Anyway, so welcome everyone. Come to Lumud. I just wanted to say that, you know, whatever we do in this channel, if you're going to use it for yourself, we advise you that you use extra caution, extra information. We are here having conversations and chit chats. So please, if you want to use anything that we say here, ask professionals' advice before you do. But today's program is with our brother Sami, who's Eritrean. He's going to introduce himself. He's a politician, meaning that he studied political science. And I'm so excited because he is Eritrean, you know, grew up abroad, but you're going to see what I mean. Anyway, Sami, my love, if you are there, you can send You can click the link and you can come and join me. You guys excited? I'm really excited. Hold on. Let me call him this way. Maybe he can't see me yet. I am so excited. لو ما أنت بتعمي excited كون لو شو رايت حمو guys. Darling, I'm live. You wanna come join me? On YouTube, you can just press the same link again. Oh, yeah. Thank you, darling. See ya. You have a good idea as usual. Oh, thank you, guys. Some people try to take my ideas for themselves. It's unbelievable. I've been here for how long? Over 2 years. My head is flooded with ideas. I just wish I could give birth to them right here. And next, I think, you know what? We're going to talk about the immigration. Do you remember when I first came here? I used to talk about the boys in a hostel, how their social worker left them without, anything just before Christmas. I'm gonna bring back up those videos and we're gonna discuss them because some people think they gave me the idea to speak about, never mind. We'll talk about it. I'll bring it up. Hey!
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Do you have a device that is it's doing an echo, I think. Hold on.
Is an echo?
Yeah, from my end I can hear it. Do you have a device that is on next to you or something? You have to switch off the volume, I think, from the other end. Try to speak again. Let me check it.
Mic check, mic check.
It's good now. I think it's really good.
Okay. All
Perfect.
right.
First of all, thank you for accepting my invitation. I think I've told you I saw you once a while back, and then I got a call and left the live chat in TikTok, and I couldn't find you. I literally looked for you everywhere because I was so impressed. So, thank you for coming. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me. Yeah.
oh, so tell us a little bit about yourself before I go into my questions about you. Who are you?
Sure, sure. My name is Sami. I born and raised in New York City to Eritrean parents, as well as complicated political family. Obviously, I went to. I stayed in New York for about 29 years. That's where I studied political science. I was initially one of my first jobs in New York was working on political campaigns for basically registering voters in the Bronx and in Harlem, Manhattan, specifically Black voters, Black and Latino voters. And then afterwards, I became a teacher for New York City high school students, high school seniors. I was teaching political education, civic engagement into local politics, where we organized Action Day at the end of the semester. We organized Action Day activities that brought students into the political realm and how to make impact and change in their local communities.
Mm.
Um, After that, I've had a different amount of things involving policy research, policy analysis and research for national security and counterterrorism. Also did research and policy on international law, cybercrime, and disinformation and diaspora engagement.
Mm.
And along the way, I just got involved in development projects in Africa, more around research, economic research, and involving sustainable development goals, African sustainable development goals in West Coast and in West and East Africa. But in the last I would say 4 years, I've been definitely involved in development projects and research in Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia.
Wow, impressive, really impressive. Because when I first saw you, I was like, what a breath of fresh air. Because usually what happens is in TikTok, everybody is just so emotional, giving their point of view. None of the facts are stated most of the times, and if politicians
Mm,
do state the facts, people don't want to hear it because there is a virus in our community that is trying to destroy our heritage, our Eritreanness. And thank you for coming
mm,
because I have as a just I'm a normal person, I'm not a politician, so I want to see from someone who's actually studied this, who understands politics, to explain to us certain things. Let me start with, what is your current thoughts about Eritrea in general, the politics? How do you see it? What do you think of it?
So it's Eritrea politically. It is. It's a very straightforward system. It's a small government, small countries, not a big population. It's another African country that's
Mm,
struggling. Like this was like but it's a struggling country like any other African country, any other country in the global South that's struggling. The only thing we're not struggling with is domestic issues like terrorists, ethnic violence, religious violence, all the instability. We don't, that's the only thing that's different. We might be poor,
mm,
but we're not killing each other. Like everyone else is
mm,
just fighting. So that could speak again. That speaks volumes about both our culture and our government, and as a people we are not willing to murder our people
Brown people.
for any kind of gain, and, whether it be keeping power, because I've been there. I go to Eritrea a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and these rumors, when I hear people saying all these things like how it is, they make it very seem like it's North Korea, or it's like very aggressive China.
Mm.
I mean, everyone's struggling. I mean, people, and when I go there, they act like everyone is so it's not as
Because they make it.
chaotic as people portray them as. Granted, yes, can you discuss politics? Of course, you can discuss politics in Eritrea,
Mm.
but can you discuss how to overthrow the government?
No.
In what country can you go? If I can go, if I decided right now to post on Facebook,
Mm.
I want to overthrow the U.S. government.
Mm.
I promise you, people will come to my house right now. Like the
Absolutely.
FBI, the
Mm.
FBI will come to my house because I'm a threat. They will see me as a threat to national security. This is in every country in the world. Eritrea is not an exception to that. If you talk about overthrowing them inside the country, or they want to talk to you now. They want to
Mm.
know what's your problem. That's just normal.
That's the way it works.
Um,
Mm.
so the politics in Eritrea is a honestly,
Mm.
it's very straightforward. They have been changing things, in my opinion. I think they're growing at a
Mm.
very slow pace, but they're growing progressively in a slow pace
Mm.
towards what we view as democratic. Like the thing is, I don't know. The word democracy has been hijacked, so I don't really want to use that word.
I
Just
always
a
say we want to
just
create our own way of politics. That's why I always say like the words that have been used are never used correctly. They just labels. They don't actually really work. So I always say we Africans are going to create our own terms for politic way of
our
living.
own democracy. Yes,
Our own
our
democracy.
our our version of democracy, not the Western version of democracy, because the Western version of democracy, I don't want to go into that, but
No.
our version of democracy
Mm.
is what we need to develop ourselves, because it's a new country. It's like Eritrea is like a startup company, right? A business,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm.
If you have a business, right? Let's say you start a business. Let's just say you start a supermarket.
Mm.
You start a supermarket. You have to make sure the supermarket is in a nice neighborhood, right?
Absolutely.
You have to make sure there's no competition, there's no crime, there's no evil in the neighborhood, to make
Mm.
sure that this new supermarket is going to grow into being a very lucrative business, is going to make money for you, because the environment around the supermarket
Mm.
will be nice, will be comfortable. It's accepting. It's gonna motivate the supermarket to grow, and then you can grow this supermarket. You can become a bigger supermarket. You can become a powerful supermarket. Same thing with Eritrea,
Mm.
But the problem with Eritrea, we didn't have the right environment.
No.
It wasn't fair. It
Mm.
wasn't fair. We did all that fighting, and to have a very crazy neighborhood to make a supermarket. We had our competitors right across the street from our supermarket that wanted to burn our supermarket and take our supermarket, right? We
Mm.
have we had a very big problem
We
with
do.
neighbors, with our neighbors in the neighborhood, trying to
Trying
destroy
to.
our supermarket, our business, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a
Mm-hmm.
long time, they did, so we have to understand we didn't have the proper environment to thrive. We never had that advantage. It was always, we
Sorry
were
to
always
stop.
under attack.
Your camera is your it's very blurry. That's what they're saying. They can't see you properly. I think your sound is great, but your video is very blurry. Maybe want to clean it or something. Yeah, I think it's better. I think it's just the
Yeah.
connection, you guys. We can see.
Yeah, it might be the connection.
Yeah, but we can hear you perfectly. So yeah, keep going, please.
Okay.
Music to my ears.
Oh, right, right, right. So basically, yeah, the politically speaking,
Mm.
um, we cannot we cannot compare Eritrea, another new African country, to Norway. We
No.
cannot compare Eritrea to the United Kingdom. We
Mm-hmm.
cannot compare Eritrea to Canada because that's not equal comparisons. That's false equivalences. That's
Absolutely.
ridiculous.
400 years of
And people like
establishment.
to do that.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Say again?
400 years of establishment with 30 something odd years, a small country just started, a baby, essentially comparing a baby to 80 years old man who's professional and expecting a child to behave like him. This is why I get confused sometimes. They always say, like in Eritrea, like when they speak about Eritrea, I'm like, which Eritrea are they speaking of? Because I go back home too. I'm not pretending like everything is perfect. It isn't. There's a lot of issue. But everything that's been happening is because of the war. We had this war. We only had what? A freedom for a few years only once we got stuck into the war with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it wasn't, mostly we just spent it in this standby. We had to protect our country. We couldn't even work on our country. We have to keep fighting and protecting our land. So when people say, like, comparing it to America or any other country, I just feel like, well, no, we can't compare it. We didn't have peace to even work in our country. We still being surrounded by, they've been poking us in every way possible. So this is, I'm glad you agree with that. Hmm.
Yeah, it's because, yeah, exactly. It's not right because we had, after in 1991, right?
Hmm.
Well, I don't want to count it from 1993. 1993 is when we became a nation, fine. But
True.
1991 was where the fighting stopped,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
And the growth started in 1993. Let's just say 1993 is when we saw Eritreans in the diaspora in bringing back money, bringing back things, like coming back with valuable, like trying to invest. There was development happening. In 4 years, until from 1993 until 1997, there was a lot of energy and a lot of money and investment, and a lot of Eritreans saw this new grand opportunity to make our nation. And there was they can we had the right environment. There was peace. That's the only way a country or company can grow, right? A country in this ways is, you need peace.
Yeah.
You need peace with everybody, with your neighbors. You need to have peace. If you don't have peace, then it's going to be a problem, especially if your neighbor is 13 times bigger than you. You need peace with them,
Yeah.
and then their market size is huge. You need access to that market. So there's a things like we need to realize, like we need to have a comfortable environment to grow. So
Absolutely.
we had 4 years where the government, led by President Isaias, 4 years of that development was pretty impressive.
We were
Pretty
thriving.
impressive.
Mm.
And then in 1997, we saw, things started happening. Deportations. Thousands and thousands of people were being deported from Ethiopia.
Yeah. Mm.
And the way they were being deported was savage.
For any.
The way that happened was disgusting. I have family that went through that, and it was disgusting what happened.
Mm.
Um, and then there was a war where I lost my aunt in that war when she died protecting Asib.
Yeah.
And because they tried to take Asib, they weren't trying to fight for Badime. Badime, no one wanted, no one cared about Badime. Honestly, Badime
Mm.
is nobody really. It was the principle of Badime.
The
It's
principle.
by principle you get off my land, off a
Mm.
principle, but there's no actual value coming from Badime.
Yeah.
The value that they were trying to do was, the war started because they wanted to reverse Eritrean independence once we had the Nakfa. When we announced the Nakfa, they
Mm.
were not happy about that.
They didn't
They were
expect it.
not happy about
They didn't expect that, did they? They didn't
it.
see it.
They didn't.
Yeah.
No, we kept it quiet. We kept things quiet because because there was a few things that happened. Like in 1995, when the Ethiopian government at the time, led by the TPLF, when they announced the new constitution, the new Ethiopian constitution,
Mm-hmm.
and people were reading it,
Mm-hmm.
the first people that had a problem was the Eritrean government. They said, "This is crazy. Like, why would you write this stuff?
Mm.
This is you're gonna have people divided. You're gonna divide. You're gonna. This is not good.
Yeah.
This is not a good constitution." And then they said, "Well, it's good for us."
Mm.
So they knew it wasn't good. They knew it was going to benefit them. They knew they intention. So once the Constitution came out, I believe that's one of the dividing things between both the Eritrean and Ethiopian government in 1995 was the Ethiopian Constitution. It just something, it was just wrong. Inherently, it wasn't a right piece of document to start your government, to start leading your people with.
Mm.
Um, then that's the divide, because then at that time, people in the Eritrean government openly stated this constitution is not good. They said it in Amharic as well, so that Ethiopians can listen to them. So
Mm.
they said it in Amharic, which pissed off. I agree. I think it did upset the TPLF, that they said, why are you telling Ethiopians this is bad? And yeah, and to the TPLF, they're saying, mind your business. This is
Mm.
our government. This is our country. Mind your business. This is our constitution. But Eritrean government said, listen, this is our business. We put you in power. This is our business. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
this is going to affect us because this is wrong. So it was conscious. What they were doing was consciously trying to start a legacy where they would be the ethnic majority, that there would be a super minority. That's what you call a super minority, is when a minority group
Mm.
controls most of the country.
Okay.
So they were 5% of the of Ethiopians,
Mm.
or rather, like, yeah, 5% of ethnic people of a country
Mm.
controlled 90% of the country's resources and power and military and economics, everything. So
Mm.
they were intentionally trying to do that. Um, Obviously, the Eritrean government did not see this as productive, and as like, this is just not, this is not right. Integrity wise, off of principle, this isn't right, and they didn't like it. So that's when they said, we're not going to because originally they were going to come with a new currency, right?
Yeah.
Ethiopia and Eritrea, they were going to come with a new currency,
Mm.
and then they were going to bring a new currency that they can use, and then Somalia can use, Djibouti can use, something like that. That was the original kind of plan, to
Okay.
start because in 1994, we cannot forget what happened. In 1993 and 1994, that's when the European Union was officially established, right? The EU was officially.
Mm.
So at that time, we got to remember, when Isaias and Meles Zenawi was in London in 1993 to sign the documents and everything like that,
Mm.
we see both leaders looking at what an industrial nation looks like, what industrialization looks like, what does unity, like a regional bloc, that's what the European Union is. It's a regional bloc.
Mm.
What does a regional bloc look like? And then they said, this is what we can use in Africa, because the European Union is a little unrealistic at that time, but regional blocks is very realistic. So the idea was to make a regional bloc with one currency. So then, but the thing is, what happened in 1995, in 1993 was when everyone was talking about this regional bloc. It was in the ecosystem. It was, people were
Mm.
talking about, let's make a regional bloc, a regional currency.
Mm.
And then in 1995, the Ethiopian constitution, which was bothering a lot of people, happened. So then that was an issue. And then 1996 was when the Nakfa came out.
Mm.
And then 1997 was when they deported 80,000 Eritreans.
Yeah.
So this timeline is very important to understand on what the intentions of some people were.
Where?
When they came out with their own currency, that's basically that Nakfa basically said, we're not gonna we don't want to do a regional block with you because your constitution is crazy. Like we don't agree with you on this, so we're gonna go this way. We're gonna go this way. You go that way, but we'll still do business. Don't worry, we'll still do business, but we're not gonna get close to you like that until you fix that situation. And
Mm,
then the Ethiopian the TPLF said, oh, okay, no, 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 no. We're gonna do. Then they had their secret agenda, which I'll get to later. They
yeah.
had this secret agenda for a long time, which I'll get to later.
Mhm.
So they saw Eritrean independence as a threat. They saw the currency as a threat, and it was a threat to their grand plan of becoming their own country, a greater Tigray. I'll get into that later. But
Mm,
basically, yes, that's the
mm.
basic foundational history, political history of Eritrea. But there's much more I can go into, but I don't want to.
Really, I
I think
think
you have more questions.
yeah, yeah, I have questions, but we will also come back to this again and again when we need to clear. And this is in English today. Most people probably don't realize that we do English. So we share it and I will translate it as well. But the thing about the money is, I remember when the money came, it was like overnight. It just like, they changed the money. And then, like you said, they start kicking people out. And then they were our friends to a certain extent when we first started. We helped them get the country, Ethiopia. We kicked their out and everything. So for us, it was a shock when they kicked in the most horrible way the Eritreans, which means we didn't like the color of your eyes, and all that attitude was just so immature, and we thought it was just ridiculous. But okay, that all that happened, and later on, if I may, they said that when the border dispute started, they said that the international community said that. Actually, before I go to that, what was their motivation? Do you think for doing this? Do you think they were helped by somebody else for them to attack us like they did? Because the reason I'm asking that is because the border thing, they said that when the border was decided, we will have to accept it. If we don't accept it, we get punished or something like that along those lines. And Eritrea accepted whatever they did, but they didn't stop them. They didn't punish them. The war just dragged on. So do you think the TPLF at the time had a little agenda behind in order to? How do you see that?
Yeah. So okay, there was there was definitely not just the TPLF had their interests. There was definitely foreign interests involved in this as well. Um, at that time, it was more convenient for a Canadian mining company as well as an American company. There was some foreign private sector interest that wanted Eritrea to be part of Ethiopia
Mm,
because they saw the political ideology of the Eritrean government at that time. They saw it as, I would say, revolutionary in a sense that
mm,
they knew that they cannot, when they saw how the Eritrean government is in their policies and the philosophy,
mm.
they saw that this is an African country we cannot exploit.
They could not
They
use.
knew it in the very beginning. They saw the mind of Isaias and they said, "Oh no, this guy we cannot make. He will not be a puppet. So we have to get rid of him." This is what Canadian and American. This is foreigners were saying this. The TPLF, when they see Isaias, they see the Godfather. They see, oh, the guy. This is the guy that trained me. He educated me. He gave me weapons. He gave me power. He gave me everything I have. He's my God.
Okay.
For the TPLF, Isaias is their God. He is
Mm.
their creator.
Yeah. Mm,
So because without Isaias, they would be nothing. They would be nothing without Isaias. They know this. So what they had to do in order for the TPLF to cement their
mm,
legacy and their power and their influence in Ethiopia, they had to manipulate the reality by lying and saying that it was just the TPLF that overthrew the Derg. It
mm,
was only the TPLF. We didn't need any help. It was just us. We're the Jegnas. We're the soldiers. We took Addis Ababa. We got rid of
mm.
Mengistu Haile Mariam. It was them that was saying this
Yeah.
because they had to rewrite history to convince the current and later generations of Ethiopians to submit to them, not by will, but by psychology. Because if every Ethiopian sees, oh, those Tigrayans, those are the guys who overthrew, those are the strong guys. We don't mess with them. Those
Yeah.
are the guys in power. They earned that power, which we can't mess with them. Those are the tough guys. It psychologically made Ethiopians submit to them. Meanwhile, Eritreans were saying, uh-uh, what are you talking about? You are nothing. We gave you everything you have. You can't lie. You can't
Mm.
lie. Because the TPLF knew that they could only lie to Ethiopian. Well, not even every Ethiopian was stupid to think that. A
Yeah.
lot of
Young
Ethiopians,
generation.
they
Mm.
a lot of Ethiopians were smart, especially the older ones. When they were in Addis Ababa, they saw the tanks. They saw who's riding these tanks, who's driving these tanks. They said, "Oh, these are Shabia. These are Eritreans." There
Mhm.
was no. The TPLF had maybe the tanks that we gave them. There was probably like 4 or 5 tanks we gave them.
Mm.
All the tanks, like 20, 30 tanks, was ours because we took it from the Derg, right?
Absolutely.
So we gave them tanks so they can fight their own battles, which they really needed our help. They needed our help to fight, but
Mm.
whatever. We gave them some. So they everybody when in Addis Ababa, when people saw these tanks coming in, they saw, oh, the Eritreans. It's the Eritreans that they knew. So in order for the TPLF to correctly lie to society, they
Mm.
had to eliminate Eritrea. It
Yeah.
only makes sense. If you're going to tell a lie, you have to eliminate the people you're lying about because those people know the truth
Yeah.
about me. If I knew that person knows that I'm lying and I have the ability to silence them, I will silence them. So
Mm.
then if I can make 1 million people fear me, in order for 1 million people to fear me, I have to lie about history and I have to eliminate one person, then I will eliminate one person. So in their mind,
Mm.
because we were the only people that stopped them, that stopped their lies.
Yeah.
And in order for them to convince themselves, they had to convince themselves that that their lies were truth. They started a war with us.
Yeah.
And they said, we cannot allow these people to have their own country because secretly they had their own agenda to start their own country eventually. They
Mm.
need in order for Tigray to have their own country, they needed to expand. They needed to take other pieces of land. They
Mhm.
were very obsessed with taking things that don't belong to them, like Walkite, like Raya, like Badme.
Mm.
These are three things that don't belong to them, but they took it. They expanded and took other people's land because
Mm.
they didn't have a lot of good land, and now they have power. Now they want to get land.
Yeah.
So, when the war was finished, I'm gonna skip the border war because there's so much that I can say there. But at the end of the border war, they essentially made an agreement. In order for them to stop this bloody war, both parties have to agree to sign an agreement that this commission will make a decision on what land belongs to who, which land belongs to who, what towns belong to who. And both governments, the Ethiopian and Eritrean government, signed it and said, whatever, go ahead. Because we didn't have an issue signing it because we know the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is on our side. When we have the truth, the lying makes no sense when the truth is so sweet, so pure, It
Absolutely.
makes no sense to lie. So we were so confident. So what happened? The border commission decided Bademe and Zalambasa belongs to Eritrea.
Mm.
What happened the next day was supposed to be the next day. The demarcation process was supposed to start, where people start respecting the boundary commission's ruling. Instead, the Ethiopian foreign minister gets on Ethiopian TV and tells everybody, the border commission said that Badame and Zalambasa belong to Ethiopia. He lied, right?
Yeah.
No surprise. No surprise. That's not a surprise to me. Like,
Mm.
he lied to everybody. And then everybody, Ethiopians, they decided to quickly research, let's find out. And they realized the foreign minister just lied. Why did he lie? Then the
Mm.
foreign minister next day came on TV and said, okay, well, the border commission said that it belongs to Eritrea, but we still have disputes we have to resolve.
Mm.
What did Isaiah say?
Yeah.
His words were, if they leave Bademe tonight, we will have breakfast with them in peace tomorrow morning. Basically, Get off of my land. We already had enough blood for no reason. You
Mm.
could and the thing is they couldn't take Eritrea. They
Mm.
tried their best to take Eritrea.
They
They
did.
did a lot of damage to a
Mm.
lot of towns, to the town of Sanafe, where I have my half of my family is from Sanafe.
Mhm.
They destroyed the cotton factory in Sanafe for no reason. It's against international law to destroy civilian infrastructure. They destroyed a cotton factory. That's not a that doesn't belong. That's not a war thing to destroy. Why would you destroy the cotton factory that cost 120 million dollars? Why would you destroy the electric factory, the electric company in Masawa?
Mm.
Why will you destroy these? These are civilian targets. These are infrastructures. You're not supposed to destroy this. Why do you destroy this? Because they want to make sure Eritrea cannot, they want to destroy Eritrean infrastructure. If they destroy everything, because they realize that we're not going to win military, they were going to do some
Mm.
dirty things to win.
Yeah.
So they decided to just start destroying civilian infrastructure. They committed a lot of crimes against humanity. It was a very bad thing they were doing in Eritrea.
Mm.
But they destroyed infrastructure. And once they destroyed, and from, remember, 4 years, 1993 to 1997, we had a small boom, economic boom when we were developing Eritrea.
Mm.
All that development, and then all the development we did, and the development that the Derg did, that the Italians did, destroyed. They said we're gonna send these people to the Stone Age so they will never have a country. Their intention was to reverse Eritrean independence.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah.
and Meles Zenawi said it himself. I can show that. He said,
Mm.
now that Eritrea's infrastructure is destroyed, all we have to do is wait for them to economically implode. Becca, that explains their plans, their agenda. You see, that's why Melis, I respect him because his evil was in the front of your face.
It can show you.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
he will show you his evil. I
Mm.
like that. I
Mm.
want to just show me your evil. Like if you're hiding your evil, damn, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how evil you are.
Yeah.
But he showed his evil. Good. I like to see that. That's what I prefer to see.
Mm.
So that's I hate the man, of course, but I respected that he didn't hide his evil.
He didn't pretend like.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I respect he don't pretend he's not evil. He pretend, like he just know you just he shows you his evil.
Yeah.
That's a good that's good because I know now I know how to put you and I know how to view you now.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
so essentially, like now that Eritrea's infrastructure, even civilian infrastructure and the cotton factory and all these things was destroyed,
Mm.
it put in 2001, it put us all in a very tense situation,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Everyone, because we lost 50,000 people, right, in fighting, and some of these people are professors, engineers, architects, scientists. We lost our brightest people at fighting because they were fighting with weapons. We don't need
Mm.
our intellects
To be fighting.
dying in war.
Mm-hmm.
So now we lost, not only did we lose our population, we lost some of our brightest people, some really good smart people we lost fighting
Mm-hmm.
because we had no choice but to defend. So that decreased our capacity to develop as a nation. When we lose the people who can build a nation from war, that was another agenda. So you have to realize
Mm-hmm.
the TPLF in 1997 and 1998 deported about what 75,000 at that time, because around 2001 it came out to about 90,000. But they deported roughly 75,000 people in 2 years, in 1997 and 1998.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sent them all to Eritrea
With nothing.
so that the reason they put all these Eritreans in Eritrea so that they can launch a war against Eritrea. So now all the thousands of Eritreans, they want to kill them using war. You
Mm.
understand? So they were doing multiple things to
Wow. That
eliminate
was
to
intentional to
eliminate.
send them back and expecting them to come to them in the war so that they can kill them. Because they were
So
elite
yes,
in Ethiopia as well. They were the elites. Eritreans were well known business owners, educated, and they were amazing people. So when they came, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Wow.
yes. It was another way of committing a soft genocide. Let's just call it a soft genocide.
Yeah.
When you get 75,000 people and you send them to the country, and then a few months later you send your military to kill everybody.
Yeah.
That's I would say that's almost like that's close to genocidal. It's not exactly genocidal, but there's a soft version of it that they did. And their intention was get all the Eritreans out of Ethiopia and then kill them when they're in Eritrea,
Mm,
basically, and they
mm,
can take the country. That's the method they were thinking.
mm.
So it's deeper. What they were doing was deep. It
Yeah.
was deep, and it came from a place of I'll get there. Oh, I'll
Well,
get
let's
there
see.
later. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. But
Yeah.
that place that hatred came
Mm,
from a deep place that comes back that goes back in time generations. But that's
mm.
not. We're not going to go that far back in
We'll
time.
talk about it next time.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
in our
But I think,
next episode.
yeah, go ahead. Do you want to take a
Oh
break?
no, no, no. I
Yeah.
wanted to
So what
pause.
I
Yeah,
what I what I've I think, you know what, for them to be able to do all that, I think of course they got help from international community. I think the reason they didn't like our people is because we were self-reliant. We want to do everything ourselves. We don't want to be spoon-fed. We don't want to be used. We won't let them use us. And our leaders were really smart to make deals and negotiations. They see what they can do. So I believe they used to PLF. They were like the house and, if you like, of Africa, because they were like being well done, good boys. We'll take care of you. So when they came to attack us, I think they underestimated, almost they believed their own lies, that they were the heroes of, all this war. Before that, they forgot Eritrean people will stand up for their country. Because I remember when the first, by the way, I was in the military. I'm 9 round. So I remember even my own mother, he was an ex-soldier, getting up and saying, "Where's my gun? I'm going to the front." People literally had to fight. Our government has to fight the old soldiers to say, "Stay back. We have enough people to defend our country." All the young people, all the war side was like ready to go to the front line. But I think, like you said, they believe their own lies and they thought Eritrea is like, we can handle it, we're gonna take it over. I remember when they came 88 Biher, we call them. They brought all Ethiopian soldiers to destroy us. They came to destroy us basically. But our leaders was so talented when it comes to war, they just wouldn't let them take an inch. But what people don't realize is they did come at the time to really destroy Eritrea. Most people, the young ones who are here now, you've seen Tigray what they don't understand what was planned for us. If our fathers wasn't ready with the military, they sent everybody goes to Sawa to be ready. They think like the government is doing this, out of, some people like to sell it as if out of kind of spite. But we're a very small country. We have to be ready. We have to genuinely be ready. And if we weren't ready, if we haven't been going to Sawa, I think they would have destroyed us. I think. What do you think of that? Do you think that that was the?
So yes. So we have to realize because everyone thinks that the government of Eritrea just wants to be they chose to be this way. They chose to be this way.
Mm,
No, I'm sorry. You're telling me that a bunch of people that fought for 30 years, there was a 30-year war. We fought for 30 years and we fought for 30 years to have our own country. We got our own country. We started to develop, and then we wanted willingly to be in the war again because so all these people that fought as generals, they became people in government. Now
mm,
these people, they don't want to keep fighting. They just fought for 30 years. They don't want to keep fighting. They're done fighting. They want to just build the country and build our people up, build our country up. That's what their focus was. We're done fighting. Thankfully, we can stop fighting.
yes.
A lot of people think that they wanted more fighting. Why? They
We
just
are
did so
small. We
much
have to protect
fighting.
ourselves. I think, like you said, they saw it coming. They knew what the PLF is gonna do, and that's why immediately he started preparing Eritrean people, women and men. We were all going to the military so we can be able to defend ourselves. But most people didn't realize what was happening. But like I said, they are smart enough to see it coming long way. They prepared us. Nobody wants
So
to go to war. It
the
doesn't serve.
Sawa institution, I agree. I think the Sawa institution that started around 1993,
Mm,
um, the institution was created as a two prong to not just for military but also for national development reasons. Because
education as well. Yeah.
if if you notice, yeah, you get half of the training is for military, and half of the training is for like if you an electrician
Yeah.
or a construction worker or something that's involving building.
The
stuff,
country. The countries, and for
building
you to
national
have a
development.
job, and for us to have a job, to have careers, to be able to make a living after the military. They used to bring all the women back when the war was calmed down. They will teach them how to, electricians, carpenters. They give you talent basically to be able to build your country while making a living. They give you skill for life. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Because I was there too. I was 9 round. I was in Sawa, and I remember after the war came down, they brought all the women from Gumbar, which was the front line, and they gave them training that was skill for life basically. Some of them became truck drivers, some of them became what do you call it, carpenters, electricians. They were giving us, yeah, it's a place of for people, for Eritreans to be able to become self-reliant, if you like. And Sawa, I sometimes I hear these people talk about Sawa as if it's the place where you learn evil stuff, and in Sawa you find out who you are. You are challenged to your limits within safety of there are people who teach you, train you, but you discover who you are. It's really is an amazing place where you meet
Mhm.
uh, all the 9 tribes are there. From some of them I would have never met if I haven't been in Sawa. Sawa is one of my, I have memory that the skills that I have learned there that have served me for life. So I'm grateful that they created this environment not only to protect our country, but for me as a woman, this is what I realize. I am more than I think I am in Sawa. You get challenged in every way. Politically, you travel a lot on your feet. You learn how to shoot and kill. Protect yourself, not kill somebody, but protect yourself. The skills I received from there have set me up for life. I'm not saying this just for the sake of this, but it genuinely did change my life. And people don't realize people who have been to Sawa are much more tougher mentally because you go through training through a lot. So I'm glad you see it as a positive thing. But here, the lies that is being sold to our young generation, which really frightens me, is that especially the ones who are, they didn't experience what Dirk did, they didn't experience what the Wayana did. They were in the middle of a young generation who went to Ethiopia, to those camps that were created. Come here, we will take you to Europe, and we're gonna help you travel. This was the kind of advertise. When they went there, the lies you're speaking of were told to us. We were even told, these people were told that they are, we were always Tigrayans. We were divided because of the West when they came. We have never been Ethiopians. We have never been one
Oh.
country. There's this, reconditioning, like literally, like new propaganda that is being sold to our young generation. And when I hear them speak online saying that we are Tigrayans, identity this, but Eritrean this, and I'm just like, who taught you this? There is literally a propaganda, a lie machine running, like you were just saying. It's crazy. So, what would you say to any young people who are hearing this? I mean, you grew up in America, but you know what's going on. We see it in social media. Our young are being told to go against their mothers, throw stones, beating us up. What would you say about that?
You're talking about the so this is good. That's good.
Mm,
So now we're transitioning to what's going on now, right?
currently.
Okay.
Mm,
So just so I can close out,
mm,
um, I my girlfriend is in Addis Ababa. She went to Sawa.
mm.
She tells me how grateful she is to have been there. If you look at her, you don't see, you see a supermodel. You don't see a killer or an engineer. You see a supermodel. And I didn't know this when I met her. I was surprised when she told me, but she was a very grateful. She says this too. She's very grateful for Sawa. She may not like the situation. It's tough to live there. Everything you can say,
Mm.
but I like coming from her herself because the perception that everyone gets about Sawa, it's a tough place because you have to endure. You have to carry your bag 10 miles. You have to do like you
Oh,
got it in the desert. It's tough,
well,
but it conditions you.
yeah, it's called Sarrahit. You are given nothing. You are there protecting your gun. It's amazing experience. It's horrible, but it's amazing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's conditioning, especially for a woman.
Mm,
This is why, in my personal opinion, Eritrean women are very strong. Especially if they've went through Sawa. If you went through Eritrea without going to Sawa, you're still strong because Eritrea is not an easy place to live. But if
very
you did Sawa, yeah, you're like a Terminator. Anyways,
absolutely.
so now I noticed that because I like there is no there is no way you're telling me in Eritrean history that in diaspora history especially that these festivals
Mhm.
You know, like never have we've experienced festivals being attacked by Eritreans, right? Never.
Never, never.
Never. We had
Plenty.
festivals for at least 42 years, around 42, 43 years we've had festivals.
Mhm.
This is the first time, first year, this year was when violence are coming. And the thing is that there's more than just violence to the festivals. Now we see the videos, they're going to churches, Eritrean churches,
Burning in
and
the
doing things in church. Yeah, yeah, I have the video. I made sure to make the video to take it from. I don't
mm,
want to say this guy's name,
mm,
but
mm.
let me find it. Hold on, hold on.
You can find
But here we go. Here we go. Listen,
oh my
in
god.
church.
Yes. It's one of the oh yeah, that's him. Yeah. He's
So, so they
I
target.
a misogynistic little man. I made a video against him a while back. He was saying horrible things about Eritrean women. These are oh, I could not call him a man. It would be never mind. Carry on.
He's less. He's a lesser man. Let's just say he's a lesser boy. Let's just call it that. But so you see that's why I think you see this is why how can I don't believe these people, like it's easy for anyone to claim that they're Eritrean because there are we already know there are Tigrayans that were born and raised in Eritrea.
Yeah.
They sound with the Eritrean dialect. We already know that.
Mm,
So they but they speak and sound like Eritreans and they move kind of like Eritreans. They move with Eritreans, but they know themselves that they're either half or full Tigrayan,
mm,
and they're never going to be willing to reveal that information, or they may be proud to reveal that. It doesn't matter, but it's you like we've obviously seen Eritreanism is not embedded in every Eritrean. We
mm,
kind of know this already. So we've been hearing this thing like, oh, the Higdef, the Eritrean government support, the pro. They anybody who did they call what he said. They that we say that Eritreans who do not support the Eritrean government are not Eritrean, right? There's this notion that we are calling opposition Eritrean opposition people, we're
mm.
saying that they're not Eritrean.
We never said that.
That's not that's
Mm-mm.
not that's not what we're saying.
Mm.
We're saying you don't show Eritreanism.
Yeah.
You don't show that unity, that oneness with your people.
And there are
Where's that
to be
sense
honest,
of community?
yeah. There's one that oppose the government, they support and love their country. This is what we say. You have to be Eritrean first to be against or support the country. Those are let's put them to the side. The third ones are the sellouts. They are Tigray Ta'awat. Those are not against Eritrea. Those are terrorists to me. They're not patriots of their country. If you don't support the government, support the government. If you are Eritrean, starting from Eritrea love, you have criticism, you have ideas, about your country. That's fine. We don't mind that. What we minding is that you are someone who claims to be Eritrean, but you want to destroy Eritrean people. You want to beat up Eritrean people. You want another country who's going to war against your country to win over your country. That's not
Let
that's
me
not Eritrean.
hold on. Let me correct you.
Yeah,
They don't want another country to. They want a region of a country
true.
to who is
Mm,
they are for generations they have been the enemies of our identity.
mm,
We no matter what anyone says, no, not all of them did it. I don't want to hear that. They do not like the Eritrean identity. It's not that they're not. We have to be very clear.
mm,
It's not that they don't like the Eritrean government.
yeah.
They think that the Eritrean identity is a threat to Tigray, not to the Tigray identity,
Mm,
not to the Tigray the Tigray people or the Tigray government, just to like them. They're because they have no like I mean I'm sorry to say they I guess their identity is they feel that it's weaker than ours,
obviously.
and that comes from generational stuff. I don't want to unpack that,
Yeah.
but they view the Eritrean identity as a threat to their identity. Period. Let's just stop right there. Full stop.
Mm,
So, in order for them, like right now, what we're seeing, because if you realize they've stopped protesting. Like, you know, they stopped going to the embassies, Tigray genocide, Tigray genocide. Those people disappeared. They took off their shirts. Now they're wearing these new blue shirts, and they decided to export the violence that they were doing to their own people in Tigray and to Eritrean refugees. The 1,000+ Eritrean refugees that died at the Hittats refugee camp and the Shemelba camp, those those victims,
Yeah.
they decided to export violence on against the Eritrean people and identity
Mm.
to Europe, Canada, and the United States.
Yeah.
And it's all being orchestrated in Mekelle. We know this already because they couldn't win in the battlefront. So now this is the only way they can get revenge in their 11th hour at their final. They have nothing. This is a clear sign of desperate people, dangerously desperate people that
Yeah.
are willing to they're willing to go above, way above where whatever line that you thought is drawn between humanity and vindictive evilness. They didn't just cross the line,
Mm.
they ran through the line at full speed. They don't they that's if they had a nuke, if they had nuclear weapons, they would use it
Yes, they would.
immediately. They would have used it in the beginning of the war. The first day of the war, bah, they would have used it immediately.
Absolutely.
Because for them,
Mm.
they have to go hard.
Yeah.
That's their way of things. Because if you look at the way they started the war, look at the way they started the war. That's it. They clearly
Absolutely.
wanted this war.
And you know what I hate about this is this desperate attempt is that, like I said, we have young people who left very young home and grow up in the Tigrayan camps. They are here living in hotels, hostels. Their life is hard. When you come to Europe, it's not what they sold you. You know how it is to live in America or Europe. It's not that easy. It's not like they pay for everything for you. It's not the vacation that they expected. So especially in England, I used to go to the hostels here years back. There were kids who couldn't read the messages that come to them. They couldn't, the life is tough. Once I told a story on TikTok. There was this immigrant kid who called me because there's a hotel next to mine where they put them in. And just before Christmas, their social worker literally left them with no money for Christmas. He just went on holiday, didn't even give them what little money they gave them for Christmas. So they called me and told me about it, and I made like a little something for them. I was like, I got your back. But imagine how many kids are living like that, being overlooked. Social workers are usually, they're not the best people, but this is what they're going through. So it's easier to manipulate them. They're upset, they're sad, they're away from home. So this group on social media, like in TikTok and YouTube, those organizations are using this vulnerable young people to turn on their own family. They're frustrated. Their life is hard, and they're telling them, your own mother, your own father is at fault. Let's go, burn churches, or let's go beat up people. Let's go and destroy these festivals. And that's what really makes me upset is that you're using young, vulnerable people for your own gain and for your own benefit to get revenge for the war that happened in Tigray over here. And a lot of people from our community are helping this. So called Eritreans, oh, we are opposition to the government. But you're getting my brothers and sisters who are here without families, using them to dismantle their own community, their own festivals, to beat up their own old women and children. This is the most revengeful tactic that a lot of young people are not aware of what's going on. They've been used for the war, revenge, take revenge on their people, and they're the ones, the leaders of these groups are not the ones who are obvious, not the ones you see. Behind it are people with intention to harm our community, and it's being done through our young people who are vulnerable and emotionally easily manipulated, easy to manipulate. So this is what
So
we face. What should we do? We can close with this. What do you think our approach should be to get these young people to understand they're not opposed to the government? They're not even Eritreans. They're trying to murder. They're trying to get you to murder your own family members and dismantle your own communities.
So let's just be clear.
Yeah.
This starts in the camps. Once Eritreans get to the camps, I've heard this from Eritreans, but several Eritreans have said this to me when I was in Addis Ababa, right?
Mm.
In the camps is when they start dividing Eritreans. They say, okay, you're from a Kalagozai, right? They would say some that that Ouija stuff,
Yes,
that
divide and conquer.
disgusting. That's
Yes.
yeah, this disgusting Ouija stuff. They would use that. They said, okay, you're from you're from here, you're
Mhm.
from this zone, you're from this, and then this person,
Hamasian
you
people.
all the Akalagwazai people on this side of the camp, all the Saraya people on this side of the camp, all the Hamasians on this side of the camp, and they would right there use that, saying those guys, they are against you because of this. They all support Isaiah, and then they did it, and they politicize those. They do everything to mess with the minds of Eritreans. And a lot of these Eritreans that are going are not really, and a lot of them, they're not really from the inner city. They're not from Asmara. They're not from that. They're kind of like from the towns, the rural areas. So they're
Mhm.
not the most educationally prepared
Mhm.
to they're not prepared to see what manipulation looks like. You know, they're very susceptible to being manipulated because they're just young
Mhm.
and not as educated, or not, you know, there's a couple of things, but this is what they do. They divide people, and
Mhm.
then they make you depend on them. This is the thing. Now they're going to, once they realize, okay, we got this Eritrean mind, we're going to send them to the West, and this person is going to be against the government, and he's going to go into the community, and the Eritrean community there, and he's going to make other people against the government. So they make these Eritreans in the camps sleeper agents, and then they create Eritrean refugees. They manipulate them to be sleeper agents to implant them into Eritrean communities in the West. So
Mhm.
now, and then now they get, and they make sure that these refugees are getting the refugee benefits and the money, the income, whatever the case may be. So now, in their mind, in this impressionable Eritrean person's brain, they owe Tigray more than Eritrea.
Yes.
You understand? They're
Yes.
basically, they basically cultivated a sense of dependency
Mhm.
and ownership amongst very impressionable and susceptible Eritrean youth
Mhm.
by giving them access to internet in Tigray, and then giving them the ability to go to Europe or to America or to Canada, and to go there and be against other Eritreans.
Mhm.
This is a very orchestrated, well orchestrated, evil, impressively evil technique
They
that
will
they
literally
do.
tell them. They will literally tell them, "Oh, when you were in Tigray, we closed you, we fed you," but they didn't. The UN did. They didn't. The people might be nice to them. The actual Tigrayan people. We're not talking about the people. The people might be nice to them. They might be kind to them. But when they come here, even like the flag, the Eritrean flag, if they put it on their shoulders, or they're like, "Oh, we know you in Tigray." They even have videos of young people who just left back home. It might have said some not nice things about. They literally make them do interviews. They collected these videos and they tried to shame them for simply having their flag on them or singing to the songs of our soldiers or country, whatever. They have been shamed left, right, and center. It's almost guilting them into denouncing their own country because they passed through Tigray at some point in their journey. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
The thing is, they're so young. When you speak to them, they listen. When you try to explain to them, they listen. But they have put a label saying, "Oh, this is Higdef, this is that." They're against you. These are your fathers. They fought for you. There are people in the military back home, I'm sure you've been there, and they're 80s, 70s, still serving our country. There are Warsai who like, they don't have life like we do. They can't just go and get coffees. They have to be in the borders taking care of our country, and they think this is by choice. They think that our leaders would have been much more better off. President Isaias, if he wanted to be rich, it would have been better for him to be yes man to Americans. He would have lived a fabulous
Oh,
life. He would have a
oh
great
yeah, 100%. He
yeah.
could have been the typical African leader. He could have bent over for the US, get all the money, and punish everybody and just live like a king. He could
Absolutely.
have been one of those traditional African leaders. I couldn't give you a list of
Yeah.
them. But you know what? Look at what's happening to some of those leaders. There's in Niger,
Hmm.
Burkina Faso, in Mali,
Yeah.
in Gabon. Look
Hmm.
at these leaders. They've been in power for how long? Stealing, being given money by the West, comfort. You've been given euros. You're getting all this dollars and euros, and everyone else is starving. People don't have electricity.
Exactly.
Isaias could have done that easily. He could have done that a long time ago. quickly,
Like,
quickly. It's right after the war he could have done that.
mm-hmm.
But the thing is, there was a lot of Eritreans. There was some Eritreans that wanted to do that.
They did.
They wanted to do
Yeah,
that, and then he had them arrested. This is the controversy with G15. I don't want to go too deep into this,
I got you.
but
Yeah.
there's a controversy with G15, and because there's a links between them
Yeah.
and external forces that I'm not going to bring up, but there's links that they have with people. So let's not go that far right now.
Yeah.
Now everyone thinks that after the border war that we wanted to stay as a military state, that we want, because it was what in 1998 when the war started, what happened? State of emergency. That's
Yeah.
what happens when you go to war. When your country's at war, you go to a state of emergency. What happens in a state of emergency? You suspend the constitution, right? That's the first thing that happens, because
We
we
call
cannot deal with constitution right now. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, this is not a constitutional time right now. This is they coming to kill us. We- Pick up
We
a gun. We'll deal with your rights. You have rights. We'll deal with that later. Pick up a gun now. We have an
exactly.
emergency right now. Pick up a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So we never was able to drop our weapons, because after the border war, they were still on our border. They were still there. They were still in Badame. They refused to get off Badame. They did not want peace with us. And then why are like Eritreans are saying, why look, these guys don't want peace with us.
They
They're
want
gonna come
to use
again
it.
if we,
Yeah, they want
and
our
they're over here like they want elections, they want internet, they want all these things, but there's still guns and missiles being pointed at us. They're still pointing guns at us.
mm,
Why do you want to vote? Vote for what? Right now we can't vote for nothing. We have to protect ourselves first, and then we have to make sure we're eating. We have
yes.
to eat, we have to be safe. Right now that's it. Priority.
Mm.
And because then the sanctions came, and then there's a lot that I can unpack right there. There's a lot that right there. But
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it's so obvious to me as a young Eritrean woman, but especially when I came to the West and I've started to think like, why is Africa like this? Why are we at the richest? Why are we, living like, and I start to look into it, I start to read about history and slavery and all that, I just kind of was so clear and obvious that, what's going on is not for our best interest. And our leaders have been, holding their ground to make sure that we have a country, we have a home that we paid with our blood. Nobody gave us for free. So I genuinely thought it was so obvious. Then when I came to TikTok and I saw all these young people, pretty much, fictional characters being risen, like how Eritrea is this and Ethiopia is, the Tigrayan did this for us and everything. I think what they don't realize is they wanted to build like a by Tigray, big Tigray, and they needed our oceans. Eritrea is going to be one of the most richest African country, and Africa, if Eritrea is free from influence of the West, everyone else will follow too. And I think this was intentionally done to keep Eritrea, you know, poor. They didn't expect the people to survive as long as they have. They didn't realize that Eritreans will be with their government, with their people, saying no matter how they pushed us, no matter how they dragged us to the bottom, people were just holding fast. They were like, nope, this is our country. We're gonna do whatever we need to do. But they didn't expect this. I didn't think so. So now the revenge is getting our own young people to turn on their own mothers and fathers, and how horrible it is for Eritrean women or men to insult our elderly. It's just not for us. We don't do.
what?
My mom can beat me.
Oh,
I couldn't even insult people who are against my country now, who are like on the other side. I didn't even insult them because they're older than me. I might give a thought.
yeah. It's not in our culture to do that.
No,
That's
it's
that
not.
that's what it's not in. Let me repeat that slower.
Yeah.
It's not in our culture to disrespect our elders, which makes me think
Mm,
these people are not part of our culture
no.
to go throwing rocks at elderly and women and children at festivals, and they're going to churches. This is not people that
Mm,
they don't encompass the Eritreanism and the Eritrean culture. So how do you expect me to call you? You want me to say that you're Eritrean, but you're not acting Eritrean.
Absolutely.
You're acting like an enemy of my identity. You're acting like an enemy of Eritrea. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, 100%. You're not. You're saying why? Like this. This is why I. This is why when I say
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, you can have Eritrean blood. You're not Eritrean
No.
because you're attacking your own people
Yeah.
as a proxy to Wayane.
Thank you.
That's it. You're you're
That's
you're you're
this is a
fighting. You're fighting their battle
mm,
for them.
yeah.
You're a puppet. So
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree. This is why I thought this is an Eritrean for you to say other country or other region should win over my people. When you say that, you're saying that my Warsai, our fathers, mothers, have to die for them to win. That logic is so simple. Like, what are you saying? So for me, I can only say I said they're not Eritrean, some of them, and they're not Eritrean, some of them. The ones who are saying they're Eritrean and could be Eritreans are, like I said, they left home when they were really young on those camps. They were reconditioned, story retold to them, and now they are here confused. So I feel like it's almost like our duty to re-educate our young generation back into reality.
now, in the beginning of this war,
Mm,
there was a lot of us on Twitter or on Clubhouse.
mm,
One of them, I know she's somewhere in the comments. Shout out to Sunlight.
mm,
So we were very heavy in the beginning of the war when we were dealing with Eritrean opposition. There wasn't a lot of us pro
mm,
Eritreans
mm,
in Clubhouse at the time, but there was a lot of opposition,
mm,
and it was very few of us versus a lot of them,
mm,
and you can kind of see that they're not as politically savvy. They're not really
yeah,
politically minded to understand the circumstances that why Eritrea is the way it is now.
mm,
It's it, and they think that this is a choice.
mm.
They really think
They do.
that Eritrean government wants a military state. They don't want to grow, be the Singapore of Africa.
Yeah.
Like if you there's a man by the name of Thomas Keneally. He's an Australian world-renowned novelist, award-winning novelist
Yes,
that spent
definitely.
some time, and he spent some time in Eritrea in the early '80s with the EPLF, and in his book, "The Road to Asmara," I believe is called. In his book, he says Eritrea's success would be an embarrassment to Africa.
Yes.
There's a reason why this white man says this. First off, there's a reason why this white man said this, and his words were ringing really well to A, the West,
Mm-hmm.
B, our neighbors to the South, yeah, that's it, and our enemies, and C, our enemies. So
Mm,
you have to understand the mentality that the Eritrean mentality had coming into independence was revolutionary. By nature, it was revolutionary.
yes.
We talked about things that in revolutionary senses like Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, there was things being said
Yep.
that was a threat to the West. And
Absolutely.
they know that and that was the biggest. They like you have to understand,
Mm-hmm.
they were trying to eliminate the Eritrean ideology.
Yes.
So when you eliminate Hade Libby, when
Mm,
you eliminate that mentality that we are, no matter what, we have to stick together, we have to do this, and we do
mm.
that. Once you eliminate that,
It's easy to
because
break.
the only other people that have this similar mentality as Eritreans, in my opinion, are Jews.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, or Israelis or Jews. In
Mm,
my opinion,
mm.
they have a similar mentality, which
Yeah.
is it's us
Stick together.
versus everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So and like I'm not trying to Israel, what they do to Palestinians is that's a whole nother discussion. I'm not getting into
Oh, you
that.
mean just
It's
you mean like
bad.
yeah, yeah.
It's bad what they're doing. So
Mm.
but that's not my business. My business right now is Eritrea right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I'm not when I'm comparing mentality, I'm not
I think
saying
you mean the
we do that
mentality
to
of
no,
them
no.
oneness. I think that's what you mean, not what they're doing is correct.
Yeah.
Like it's their
You
business.
you go after you go after one Jew, you
They
might
all
as well go after an army. You're going after an army.
yeah.
Yeah. Same thing goes with Eritreans. You
Mm,
you go after one of us, we will put aside our differences, our politics, to now we have to work together because you are an outsider who's threatening my people.
Yeah.
So this is what I just said to you
Mm.
is a very basic baseline version of Eritreanism. What I just said,
Yeah.
you know,
Don't you think the
and
reason they want the festivals gone is to dismantle that? Because that festival is where we come together. Our children are being, conditioned. The food, the tradition is being passed to us. So that's why I said to them, what country runs with the money from festival? No one. In fact, it costs more. Why do we do it since the 70s? To get our people to knit together, to come together, celebrate our culture, pass our culture to the next generation who are born here. And the reason they're attacking the festival, they say, oh, you want to dance. If our dancing was an issue, why do you go to Ashanda and dance over there? It's not about dancing. They're trying, like you said, they're trying to break the Eritrean chain by stopping the festival, because the festival is a big event where our children, who were born here, our history, our music, food is passed on.
it's the biggest display of Eritreanism is at these festivals.
Absolutely.
And attacking the festivals is attacking Eritreanism, is attacking the Eritrean identity. So because they realize they cannot fight against us in war, they lose in war. So now this is the only thing they can do to attack our identity. Because
Absolutely.
they couldn't attack us directly on the war,
Mm.
they couldn't attack us directly in the war, so now they had to attack us in as civilians in festivals.
Yeah.
So this is again an attack against the Eritrean identity,
Absolutely.
and the fact that they're using Eritreans, and not all of them, I think like maybe 25% are Eritrean,
Mm.
maybe I would say roughly 25
Very
30% are
small. Yeah.
Eritrean.
Very small. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I would say I'm just being generous with these numbers. I
Yeah.
think it's less, but I'm gonna be generous. Let's say
Yeah.
25%,
Yeah.
right? Just
Mm.
for the sake of argument, right?
Mm.
Um, and we got the leader. Their leader claims to be Eritrean, right?
Mm.
He has it in his title, right?
Yeah.
And we see some of his followers
Mm.
on we see his groupies perfectly, they're perfectly fine attacking other Eritreans. And then when we show the videos of all the victims in these festivals being attacked, uh-oh, they don't want to see it, right? Look at
They
this.
don't. And they
Look at
always say,
this.
like, yeah.
Look at these children.
They are children. They are very young. Mm.
These are rocks being thrown at a
Yeah.
center where children and elderly are there, and this is what these Blue Revolution Brigade Namadu, whatever, this is what
Yeah.
they believe
Mm.
is a solution to. This is what they believe will overthrow the Eritrean government, attacking people in Sweden, attacking people, canceling these events in Atlanta, attacking people in Germany. Look at this damage they're doing. Look
Mm.
at this.
Yeah.
I've never seen attacking elderly. Look at how you attack
I
elderly.
am
This
ashamed of
is,
this. Shamed.
look at
Oh.
this. Look at you destroying things. Look at how you're destroying things. And then you're attacking police.
Mm.
Yo, listen, this is like, we can clearly see a copy and paste of the Tigray genocide protesters and this Brigade Namadu guys. You could see
Even
they
their
are,
leader said.
they're not
Their
even,
leader said they
they're
were.
not cousins.
Yeah.
They're
He said
not.
that their leader
If
literally said.
they're first cousins having incest right now, basically.
Exactly. Their leader said they were. That he said his intention is to get them joined to TDF. And we have so many pictures of people who used to have the Tigrayan flag. Now they're holding the blue one. You don't see the Tigrayan flag anymore. You see the blue one. It's the. So I think, what, I feel like, first of all, thank you for coming. I'm gonna give you a minute to close this all, but I feel like as an Eritrean, my duty is one. I've given myself a job, and this is what: enlighten our community. Once you know the truth, you can choose whatever you want. You can oppose the government if you want, support the government if you want, but know the truth first. Know the truth as it is, because for me, my parents were freedom fighters, both of them. My dad and my mother, they were, before the independence, and I was born there myself. I have seen what has been paid for me to have a country. When I was a child, my first memory is not toys that I played with. It's like airplanes coming and bombing the shit out of us and barely surviving, barely escaping. So for me, for a lot of Eritreans, we know what we have to pay to just be called Eritreans, we pay the price for it. But this young generation who are in between, neither there, neither there, are lost very little of. They're not many of them, but they are important. So for us, I feel like if we discuss, if we talk, if we bring the truth forward, they can actually know the truth and decide what they want to do.
Right.
And if they know the
Right. At
truth,
least,
I'm 100% sure they will not take this route. They will not be part of these movements.
because the thing is, this does involve political consciousness. Like,
Yes.
to understand, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say the Eritrean government does everything perfect.
Of course
There's
not.
no government in the world. There's
Mm,
zero governments in the world that's perfect.
mm,
Maybe Finland,
yeah.
maybe
They get closer.
Switzerland's pretty good.
Yeah.
Switzerland is pretty damn good too. There's
Yeah.
some countries that's pretty damn good.
Mm,
I would say it's close to perfect. There's some countries that's close to perfect,
mm,
and none of them is in Africa.
mm. Yeah.
None of them is in Africa.
Exactly.
This idea that Eritrea has to be this kind of this like westernized place. Sorry, this westernized place.
Mm,
There has to be this westernized place. It's like it's this fantasy. It's this unrealistic expectations to expect a country that has government people in government that went from being guerrilla fighters
mhm,
to government people.
mhm.
Now they went from being guerrilla fighters, government people, back to being guerrilla fighters, and their mentality has never left the trenches.
No.
Their
Yeah.
mentality is still in the trenches.
Mm.
That's why you see what president do you see in Africa that literally overseeing the development of infrastructure projects? I've never seen a president that watches reservoirs being
Yeah.
construction, like he's
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 there.
monitoring
He's
the
sitting there.
construction.
He's sitting there with
He's
everybody.
watching he's watching construction projects, like he's there every day to make sure this construction is finished.
Yes.
What president does this? Because to him, when
Mm.
he sees, oh, we just finished
Accomplished.
this nice project. we
Mm.
we just finished this mining
Mm.
establishment. We
Mm.
just finished this water project, this clean water project. We just finished this. When he sees this, to
Mm.
him, as like like he sees children being born for him, as someone that tried to that tried to make this country hit like
Mm.
safe and protected.
Mm.
He's viewing these massive construction projects, these good construction projects, as his children.
Yes.
And that's you never will see,
He
never will
literally.
you see
Yeah.
a leader over like managing construction projects in his country, because they're too busy getting drunk, having a good time, spending money, visiting everywhere, using this Western money. No, this
Mm.
is what you see. You see their children living these lavish lives like they're royalty. That's what you see. But
Absolutely.
you don't see that in Eritrea. So just at the very baseline, this youth that don't have the political consciousness or education or cognizance to understand the complexities and the history around Eritrea,
Mm.
I don't blame them for not liking the way things are, because things are
Right.
tough, and
It's
no,
tough.
and the government isn't perfect. I have my own issues with the government. I don't like there's some things the government does, and I don't agree with it. But I'm never
Absolutely.
gonna go over there and say with a gun and say get it. Nah, no. I'm just gonna
You
no
know
no.
what else though?
That's not.
I do. I speak up always about the issues. I speak to my fathers. Those are my fathers. Those are my mothers. This is my country. I'm not a guest. I speak on issues. But how I see it is this: our fathers are doing the best they can with what they have, and there are so many mistakes and issues and problems. When I was young, we used to call it naqifeta, where you say to your leaders, "I don't like this. I don't agree." You can constructively criticize what's happening, but you have to also be ready to participate and help. There are two different things. You saying as a youth, I'm a young person. There's things I want. The life is not easy. It's very hard for indefinite being in the military. It's very difficult. Nobody's saying it's easy, but we had to do it. And within that, within management, I always give this story, this example. When I was in the military, I was trained to be a police officer, for example. We were taught by the highest educated in our community. When we were taught to be a police, we were taught by the judges how to be a police officers, how to be a good servant to our people, right? The moment we got the power, people have their own conditioning. We were never told to beat up anybody. We were never told to even knock people's houses without being given permission from the court. Never to enter people's houses, right? The moment we got the power, some people abuse power. And once they do abuse it, once they find them, they put them in prison. And people are like, oh, they send them to prison without, without sentencing them or whatever. But you complained about them. They have to cut you hand in hand for you to go to prison. Do you know what I mean? So there are issues,
Mhm.
but there's are individual conditioning. How you take power, how I take power is different. And nobody is perfect. Our country, we're not saying it's perfect, but we are saying our family, our brothers and sisters, our leaders are doing the best they can for us to have a country that we own, that we're not nobody's, puppets. So this is the aim. This is why I love the idea of us being our own bosses. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we're not saying our government is perfect. We're not saying our country is perfect. We are saying it's very tough and very difficult. Our people are working there behind off to give us, to pass us a country that we own. So the least we can do is you can criticize, you can ask questions in the embassy, you can write letters if you have questions, but do it as Eritreans. Don't do it as someone who wants, for your country to fail, saying like, oh, we want to be like America. It can't be like America. It took 400 years and every black person in Africa to build America and the West, and it still does to this point. So it's better to educate ourselves, become more enlightened. Even when we want something changed in our country, we can ask the right way about it without beating up our old people, without, disrespecting people who have given their entire lives for us to have a country. I want us to be as respectful as possible. Anyway, thank you for coming. If there's something you want to say to wrap it up, next time we are definitely coming back. I'm gonna have a list of questions now. I know where you're at better, so hopefully we'll do it again.
I'll just close off with saying,
Mm-hmm.
my love my people, love my country,
Right.
and there's a lot more to unpack. So this
Mm-hmm.
is I like you said, this is just I guess like one first episode, right? So
It's
we'll
first.
get more.
We
So
are asking to do it in TikTok as well. So this Friday, I have a show here on Friday. We have a little on YouTube. Then I come back to TikTok. When I come back to TikTok on Friday, you can come and join me because more young people can listen to it. This is just a trial. We never done only English book program before. People could,
I might hop on TikTok right now, live right now. So like
brilliant. I love that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
By the
So I'll
way,
see you.
you
All right.
you have a TikTok, don't you?
Oh yes, yes, yes. You can find me.
Mm-hmm.
My at will be right here.
Yes,
At
I will.
you
I
put it
will put
right.
it in
You
the.
edit it right there.
I will pin it in the comment. Definitely. Yeah.
Yes, it will be Sammy Revolution 291 at on TikTok.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for coming. Genuinely, thank you, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care. How do I do this? Sorry.
So, yeah, I'm trying to get this going too. Hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
Do I just
Okay.
end it? Do I just end it? I just ended right.
Yeah.
Hang up? Oh.
You have to hang up. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sami, my love. Wasn't he amazing, guys? دك معركة كترجم لكم من حد اليوم. نقول يوم كترجم لكم. I will translate it for you. This is the first time I'm doing English program, and what I realize is my English is gone to hell. I haven't been speaking in English in the last 2 years, 2 years and a half. I've been in TikTok. No, seriously, my English is like, what's going on? I haven't used it at length like I had today, and so I'm gonna have to start practicing. Anyway, if you want to translate it, let me know. If you like this program, share, subscribe, and we will try to come as often as possible. We'll try to do English programs. If you are interested, come in here, having a discussion with me. Do let me know. But the goal of this program is for us as Eritreans to be able to talk to each other. Whether it may be politics, it might be fashion, it might be clothes, whatever it is. We will just be Eritrean channel where we can have our own little thing. So thank you for coming. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow we have a program at 8 here, so I'll see you tomorrow. Love you so much, and thank you for hanging out with us. See you soon. Bye bye.